Well, I've been going through technical difficulties for the last 2.5 hours trying to bring you this video. So this might seem a little weird, but this is going to save me a lot of time in editing. The videos I started to record, something froze, and I'm not a master at editing programs. So I'm just going to share the screen and hopefully you'll see the first 10 minutes intro that I gave, and then I'll still be here and I'll dive in with the chart. All right, bear with me, please. And I know this is weird. Maybe it's a metaphor for this black moon. Let's try this now. All right. Welcome to the black moon. It is a dark moon, meaning it's a new moon. And it is a new moon in Capricorn, and it's the second new moon in Capricorn in December. So that's pretty rare to have two new moons in 1 month. It's also very auspicious, I think, that the new moon is falling on the new year, pretty close, because we usually allow like a 3-day window before and after the new moon or full moon to feel its effects. So this is a really powerful time of goal setting. It always is at New Year, of course. Okay, it always is. But this just adds extra fire to it because the ambition of the Capricorn sun and moon together. And the fact that it's a new moon, which is all about planting those proverbial seeds, those profound seeds of change that you want to see, and the ambition and the drive and the long-term thinking of Capricorn sign. We're in a number 9 year coming up, 2025. 2 + 2 + 5. Now the 9 year is correlating to the Hermit. And the Hermit can be one of two things. The good side is the Hermit pulls away to have some peace and solitude so that he or she can reflect upon their life and gain some wisdom, gain some insight. And you're only able to process and meditate and gain insight if you allow some time to be alone and have your solitude. So if that is the case, then it's not the opposite, which is feeling isolated and lonely or shut in. It's the absence of the insight. It's the absence of going within. It's just the aloneness. So I'm expecting we'll see a lot more people grappling with both. It would be a great year to begin a meditation practice, a journaling practice. It's a good time to practice some detachment and take some time for yourself when you can, and not be busy, run, and go, or having your life so full of people, or even your life can be full of scrolling and full of videos, full of constantly swallowing information, even if it's not people. You need some time that is truly peaceful, solitary, emptiness, no phone, no book, no screen, no one around. Then you can hear yourself. Then you can hear your own answers. And they don't come right away. First, it's like everything's still swirling and screaming inside your head. But slowly, as things get a little more quiet, as you resolve a couple of things, as your emotions calm down a little, then you can step back and go, oh, okay, now I understand that person. Now, oh, I'm getting a flash image of something. I'm going to trust that. That's interesting insight. Do you know? That's how it works. Happens when we slow down, calm down, take some space. So that's why a mystic, a healer, therapist needs time alone. to listen on a different level that can't happen when there's too much socializing, even when it's healthy socializing. So we're going to dive into this new moon now. And if you would like a session to take a look at your year ahead, this is an excellent time to do that astrologically as well. Taking a look at your astrology chart for 2025 and seeing where the planets are accenting your life. What areas are under construction? What areas are going to be in flow? Where do you need to, have caution with either certain environments, certain topics, certain people? What kind of, mindset to adopt to help you get you through the year? So I offer astrological readings for the year. I also do a wheel of the year with the tarot. So some people like to come for that, where it's we pull one card per month, and then you have a wheel of cards that tells you what you might expect for the year with your tarot cards. So if you want to book either of those, you can reach me here on this platform underneath. You can comment and I'll email you, or you can just directly email me. It's below in the comments, or you can go to my website or Facebook. So river-rain.com and clairvoyant Catharine. It's going to be a really big year when it's a 9, and we have a lot of energy of reflection, of closure, cycles coming to an end, and we have a change of office, and we have a lot of things, as we know, opposed that could really affect all of North America and Mexico. If you're over here, and what happens in the US affects the world balance too. So we have a lot to consider, and a lot of things might be on your mind as to how to navigate next year. So again, excellent time to consult somebody intuitively. Not so I tell you what to do, but to affirm your own gut feelings and help you with what I might see in, on, and around you that you don't see. So we all have something that's hard for us to see ourselves. And a lot of it is just like mirroring and affirming to you maybe what you're already feeling, or getting your own gut feelings about. I wanted to read one thing from a really cool book, and I might read from this more often throughout the year, just to give us a bit of inspiration before we start the chart. And it's called The Pivot Year, and it's by Brianna West. 365 Days to Become the Person You Truly Want to Be. I'm just wanted to read it for a bit of inspiration for change on this Capricorn Black Moon. I'm not going to worry about chronology. I'm just randomly flipping bibliomancy, just randomly opened. So the one I flipped to today says, I hope you learn to live in a way that makes you glad to be alive. Not glad for your elevator speech, your accolades, or whatever you believe the world sees you as. Not where you are glad for all that you might do one day, but the beauty with which you experience the smallest and most unassuming of things. I hope you learn to live in a way that makes you excited for the day ahead, for whatever it is you are meant to do for this period of time, with this corner of the world, with this one body and life that is yours. I hope you learn to experience living instead of just imagining how your life is seen. I hope you learn to feel it with everything inside you. I hope you learn to be alive. That's a profound paragraph. And that's very fitting for Capricorn, actually. Because Capricorn, thinking of the long haul, thinking of their security, providing for others and for themselves, being safe and secure, willing to work hard for the future to secure those things. But also Capricorn has a side of them that cares very much about how they're seen and about their status. And if your goals are based on, oh, I'm going to do this and then everyone's going to see me differently, it's not a true goal. You won't be able to sustain it. You won't be able to work hard for that. Oh, I'm going to lose weight so then my ex sees me and is jealous that he doesn't have me. That's not going to help you lose weight. Or you might get there, but you won't sustain it because you weren't doing it for the right reasons. So when you set your goals this year, first of all, think about the long haul. Try to simplify maybe one thing that you could be patient enough to work on for months. And that goal needs to be something where you're motivated by your own growth, your own well-being, your own health, not impressing anyone, or not trying to fit into what you think other people want you to be or how they see you. So you stop getting on that wheel of approval and proving yourself to people and seeking validation. So with that in mind, let's take a look at this chart.
Okay. So yes, that was a little strange, maybe, but it
It is
helps.
a little bit slow
Oops,
today.
it stopped. It's still playing. A second. Okay. All right. Yeah. So let's take a look at the chart now. And this video is going to be posted late because of all these tech delays. I don't know why. It could be my computer, or it could be some of the big solar flares and storms we've been having. So perhaps you're having tech issues as well as me. Let's take a look at the chart now. All right. So, of course, it's a new moon in Capricorn. You see the sun is at 9 degrees. The moon is at 9 degrees over here. And based on the Eastern time zone, we have a Cancer as the rising sign. And we've got Mars in the first house, but it is in Leo and it's retrograde. So, yeah, Cancer rising is emotional and sensitive and sentimental, empathic, and also can sometimes just clam up and go into their shell. So people might be more emotional, more moody. They might just sort of like the Hermit card. They might want to just be in their own bubble and not bothered. Or sometimes Cancer can, when they feel really relaxed, they can be hilarious and very outgoing. Think about Robin Williams as a Cancer and how off the rails he could be when he was feeling good. So it all depends on whether Cancer energy is comfortable, whether they're introverted or extroverted that day. But they can definitely be moody. And Mars and Leo retrograde in the first house can mean that there's a lot of anger in the air, aggression, passion as well. But we've also seen, in the last 24 hours of this new moon, we've seen what, 2 or 3 plane crashes. Oh no, Halifax wasn't a crash, but there was fire on board. And there's been 2 other major plane crashes in the last 48 hours or so. I mean, sometimes Mars in a fire sign can create a lot of anger, a lot of buildup and blow because it's Leo. So Leo Mars can be so romantic if it wants to. When they're in the mood, they can be so passionate, you will not stop them from doing anything. But they could also be roaring lions, angry and very demanding and very dominating if they're angry. So that's in the air because, as you see, it's opposing Pluto exactly in Aquarius, and Pluto is in the the 7th house in this chart, which is relationships and open enemies. So not the best time to say, hey, so-and-so, we should really, maybe resolve our anger, unless you're ready to get into it for real, no gloves. Otherwise, I would say Mars opposite Pluto is really volatile and could be destructive on some level. So I would say to wait a bit. Now, the moon and sun in Capricorn have a few helpful angles, but not really. They've got a sextile to Saturn, so I mean, like I said, Saturn in Pisces is about accepting everyone as they are, accepting that everybody has suffering in their lives. Everyone deserves compassion. We're all on the same planet, all sharing the same space. And we need to be seeing the world and others as a whole instead of separate bits. Now, that compassion is a very different energy than a very ambitious sun, moon, and Capricorn that just wants to go full steam ahead and climb the ladder and, achieve. So it's a supporting angle, but it's not really going to do that much to affect the sun, moon, and Capricorn. Maybe it makes you more patient with yourself or others along the way. But at least there's nothing much opposing except Chiron here. Chiron and Aries, as we've seen in other videos, is your core wound of not knowing not having a strong sense of self. So depending on how weak your sense of self is, you're either in a submissive position or like a slave in the relationship to somebody who dominates, or you don't know who you are at all and you're tagging along for the ride on someone else's life. Sometimes it's hard to know who you are, what you need, how to stand up for that if you don't have a sense of self. And if that is squaring off with sun, moon, and Capricorn, that could set things up for, like I said, sort of a slave type of relationship, a submissive relationship dynamic, where somebody is clearly dominating and the other one is has very low self-esteem and doesn't say anything. But they are squaring, so it is possible, and it's the 10th house and 6th house. It is possible maybe on the work front or on the health front. Or it could be extended relatives. With the 6th house can be your pets and your aunts and your uncles and your cousins. That again, are there some that are co-workers also, could be, that are dominant, is there a Chiron is in Aries, but it's in the 10th house, which would be more like describing your career, your boss. Are there issues of feeling like you're not being seen properly in the world right now? Do you feel, we mentioned that already, worrying about being seen or how people see you? That's a wound. If everything you do is based on, oh, well, I want them to see me like this. How can I achieve that so they see me the way I want them to? That would be something that with these two houses would say it's weakening your reputation if you're acting like that or worried about that. And it's also, you could be dealing with someone at your workplace who's like this too, might not be you. And it could also be affecting your health. So that seems to be coming up as well. Like there's a reason the bibliomancy came up about worrying about your goals being something that is good for you and your mindset, your health, your growth, and not about how far can it get me? What will people think? How do people see me? That's the only aspects the moon is really making. Otherwise, really, we see a lot of aspects here today with Pluto and Mars. So we described the opposition, which is more of a worrisome, explosive kind of energy in your personal relationships, or even physically, your physical body when it comes to the first house. Mars in the first house can sometimes be accidents. So we want to be careful, be extra careful out and about and driving. Mars is making a sextile to the south node, which is just barely into Libra still here. And it's making a trine very nicely over here to the north in Aries. So we've been talking about that lately too, how there's all this energy ramping up and aligning in air in fire signs. Saturn is going to move into Aries at some point. Neptune's moving into Aries pretty soon. We're going to, we're being given a little appetizer that we need to get back into our initiation self, our warrior self. And we haven't been there in a while. We've been in all this Pisces energy, like, oh, just chill, just stay in my head, all in your feelings, which is great. Okay, there's Pisces is great, but it's really dramatic being kicked into the Aries mode again. By the time you reach Pisces, you've transcended so much of the physical body, the earth plane. You're in another dimension and you live there in your head. And you understand a lot of things because you've transcended and you accept a lot of things. But sometimes you have to come back to the basic, to the core again, which is yourself. Chiron, the wound is showing us that, but also, Mars is accenting this north node in Aries really strongly. Pluto is supporting it too. And then as we see, Neptune's at 27 Pisces. So pretty soon it's going to be going into Aries, and Saturn will also travel into Aries in the next probably a year and a half. And we're going to see a ramping up of go-getter mindset, rah, 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 warrior, initiate, charge in. And so we need to start realigning ourselves, consolidating yourself and your energy and it's hard to describe, but you have to get into this, this marathon mindset where you're running along. You have to have the will, the focus, the self-discipline to run the marathon. Pisces planets aren't even off the couch. And usually Aries is like a sprint. But because there's so much Aries energy and the Mars and Leo right now, it's really saying, like, when you start thinking of your New Year's goals, ask yourself, like I said, what can you do for the long haul? What goal this year? One, not 10. What one goal do you know deep down will take you maybe months, maybe the year, but it would make such a difference in your life if you do it? Maybe it's a move. A move is huge in our lives. If it takes you a few months or a year, but a big move would make such a huge difference, maybe that's your year goal. One goal, moving. Maybe it's losing weight. That's an ongoing thing. That's an ongoing huge lifestyle change that you will have to ride out the ups and downs and the tests. And hopefully in several months or a year, you have actually changed your lifestyle and you can sustain it and lose your weight. If you want to quit smoking, all these things are not easy. One is enough. But you have to put yourself first and think, what is good for me in the long haul? And that's what I really feel it's asking us to do right now. Now, what else have we got going on? Well, Chiron's making a nice aspect to Mercury in Sagittarius. So even though it's not all trining with the fire, we still have a couple of fire trines here. So again, a lot of it's about being honest, taking stock, being active, taking action, finding your will. All right. Mercury is also opposing Jupiter. Once again, as we have Jupiter in Gemini, it's helping out the Geminis. It's helping us get out there and multitask. It's helping us maybe reinvent ourselves, be playful. It's helping us meet people and diversify our social lives. That's the best thing Jupiter and Gemini can do. It's halfway through, not even halfway. It's almost halfway through the year. So we still have time. It's a good time if you've been lonely. Go join something, meet new people, go to new places. You know, wear different hats. See what happens. Stimulate your life. You know, reinvent yourself. Go get new clothes, new colors, new haircut. I don't care, new hat. Do something to be playful and fun with yourself. It's not about status and how do they see me and getting it all perfect. No, this is playfulness with Jupiter and Gemini. This is like, well, I wonder if I wear my hair up, if people act different when I go into the store. Or I'm going to express this side of me today because, you know, I wore blue because I felt like royal blue. It felt like bold color today. You know, I could have worn all soft, muted white because it's a mood. And I'm not thinking about it as, oh, what will people think of blue? Will they take me seriously if I wear blue? Will they think I'm smarter or whatever, richer if I wear blue versus white? No, I don't care. It's expressing yourself for fun, you know? That's what's Jupiter and Gemini. And also it's about try different things. Go to one place, try it. Don't like it, so what? Try. It's about experimenting. Gemini's great at that. They just detach from it needing to mean something or be something all the time, then just go do it. It's the only way you break out of a rut. And it's a way to build your self-confidence and get to know yourself again. Mercury in Sagittarius is much more like, you know, studying things and much more clear on their opinions, and they're very bold, but they in their opinions, but they can also sometimes be very like fixed in their, well, they're not a fixed sign, but they'll come off, they'll be very strong when they know what they think, and they'll be very direct. So Mercury opposite Jupiter right now, you know, you might feel like if you're on the Gemini side and you're trying to be fun and playful and experimental, and then you get somebody just sort of saying, well, that's what it is. It's like, okay, does it have to just be that? Or could we play around a little bit here? Could we experiment? Could we have fun and learning? You know, and if you're on the Sagittarius side, you might feel like, okay, I'm focused, man. I'm reading this book and I'm interested in this, and I don't want to be diversifying 10 other options. I just want to stay on track with what I'm doing. So that's sort of Mercury opposite Jupiter right now. A little bit of push-pull with that, but it doesn't feel too upsetting to me. Jupiter's also squaring Saturn. I mean, that's been happening a while now too. As we've said, Saturn is all about, you know, and it's squaring Mercury too. So Saturn's just sort of, you know, throwing a little bit of a damper on the playfulness and on the focus. You might be finding it a little hard to think straight right now, a little hard to concentrate, a little hard to, maybe you're finding it a little more difficult to set your goals right now. But, you know, this square, 14, 15, 18. Yeah, I'd have to double check, but it looks like it might last a little bit. It's not super temporary when it's outer planets. Mercury will move quickly, so the Mercury square is accenting this all right now, where you might feel foggy brained. I mean, it's in between Christmas and New Year for a lot of people. As one, we're all in sort of a food, sugar, cheese coma from all the stuff we've been eating. Maybe your mind is not as clear, but Saturn Jupiter square is going to last a little while longer, but Mercury will be moving out of there. So hopefully this foggy brain or whatever's going on or push pull mentally will relieve itself a little bit soon. Again, Pluto is still trining Uranus, so in the Earth's in Taurus. So that flow of push for revolution that we keep talking about is still there. It's going to be in the air for a while. You know, disrupting our sense of security and our financial systems, Uranus and Taurus, disrupting the normal workday, the way we live, all these things that we thought were completely lock and load secure in the sign of Taurus. Daily habits, routines, food security, rent, like your basic physical needs, finances, and comforts, all being in upheaval. But for a while now, for several years, Pluto is coming along, squaring it, and that makes things seem maybe more dramatic in the change or sudden. But those planets are actually in harmony. The changes that are going on right now, we might find hard because they disrupt our normal or our security, but they're actually, it's bigger than us, these changes that are going on, and we need to adapt to them and roll with them. Now, let's see. Yeah, I mean, Venus is in there squaring Uranus too. And Venus in Aquarius would actually like to see a lot more quicker change and revolution and innovation than Uranus and Taurus would. Square Uranus there. It's sort of a funny one because Uranus rules Aquarius and Venus is in its sign. And Venus rules Taurus and Uranus is in its sign. So they're in what we call mutual reception. So even though they square off, they have something in common, which is sort of weird to say. It's like this mix between staying stable and revolutionizing everything. But we've been feeling torn on that for a while now, haven't we? And yeah, it's interesting that at the very top of the chart, the MC, the midheaven, we have the North Node in Aries. Get your warrior mode on. Think for the long term. Pick goals that you can achieve, that you are prepared to spend time achieving. I've got a different tarot deck today than usual. This wants me to hold it at a very particular place. Okay. This is called the Yolanda Tarot. And I just want to try something new. I might go back to Thoth next week. I don't know. So let's just see the tarot and what it adds to this conversation. All right, so we've got the Sun card. As you can see, it looks more like a deer or a moose. The sun is very cute little female. And we've got two little kids playing around, and we've got chickens. Look at it this way. Yeah, we've got a rooster and a hen. We've got a little girl and a little boy, and we've got a moose holding the sun. And we've got butterflies. So this is a very joyful, playful, family feeling. And the sun, it's interesting, has a very moon-like face. So it's almost like sun and moon versus just the sun, which is interesting for today too. So there's a lot of joy and happiness in the air, despite everything. And next we have the Nine of Pentacles. And we have the sun above showing us numbers. And they're basically coins. And the little kids or little angels are collecting the money. This is usually, you know, the card of wealth. And we for sure see that with this. It's interesting that it's little child angels receiving the wealth, you know, little, they're too young and innocent to understand what the money means or what to do with it. And yet the sun at the top that's giving the coins looks very compassionate, and they're bestowing a gift, you know. That's lovely. They're bestowing a lovely gift. Now I'm freezing with that window. Okay. And finally we have the Six of Swords. So you see the swords sort of make a fence, but the fence is full of butterflies with eyes. And we have a naked witch flying by these swords. Very interesting. Six of Swords is often a card where you see people moving on and traveling. And in the toss deck, it's usually about science and precision. And this is interesting because, you know, she's flying naked on a broom. She clearly feels safe. And she's busy. She's on her way somewhere. And the fence with the butterfly eyes, it's like a transformation. Some sort of funny feeling of like a barrier or boundaries. Some people around you watching. Watching protectively though. So that you're allowed, so that you have the room to just take off and fly. So it's lovely that there's such a hopeful feeling here with these cards. Like some sort of gift of resources and protection. Lovely. So let's take a look then at your sign and what cards reveal for your New Year's goals. Yeah, I think I want to look at that. Your long-term goal. What would be a helpful long-term goal for your sign? All right, Aries, you literally have the Fool card. So Aries, that really means, especially when we've got the North Node in your sign at 1 degree, you really need a new, you need to reaffirm or have, excuse me, can I hold this right there? You really need to have and affirm a brand new vision for your life. This is bigger than just, oh, I'm gonna quit smoking, or I'm gonna whatever, lose weight, like I said, the typical. No, this is deeper than that. You must be able to envision yourself in a new life. It's you know, the Fool is the call to action. You will feel compelled to go forward and start a new life. It's not a small adaptation or a habit. It's an adventure. It's a calling. It's something that feels maybe bigger than you, and it's going to change multiple things, not just one thing. Okay, Taurus. What is your New Year's? The goal. You have the moon card. So you can see the moon is sort of looking down to the side of this unicorn. There's angels around. What else? There are two foxes howling at the moon, and below the surface, oh wow. Below the surface, there are fish swimming in a labyrinth. This is very interesting. It's like pure fantasy going on here. So I think this talks a lot about you needing some time to rest and sleep, some time to listen to your dreams, whether that's your, like, literally as you're, when you wake up, the things you're dreaming about. And it's a call to like activate your deeper need for like imagination and fantasy, to activate your creativity and not get too bogged down in reality, you know? There's the moon looking down at the unicorn, almost like watching it and wondering what it's going to do next. Sort of feels to me like there's someone around you who could be figuratively a unicorn in some way. Are you perhaps idealizing anybody? Is someone presenting themselves to be larger than life or magical in some way? And yet, you've got people around you that look up to you as well, the two little foxes that are staring at the moon here. Yeah, I love this card. It's really active imagination is so you might set a creative goal or a goal to be more creative and playful this year. All right, Geminis. What is your New Year's goal? Oh, look at that. Yeah, the Seven of Swords. But it's almost like a Gemini card with two people there. Two people sitting on a sword hilt that is a cat, facing away, looking depressed. Bunch of snakes below. Yeah. Interesting. So the cat, cats are sensitive, they're intuitive, they're psychic, they need their independence. You can't train a cat. We all know that, right? The cat will come to you when they trust you, not because you force them or train them. They'll sense things around you or about you that you don't sense. So this couple here, these two people, are disconnected from each other and sad about it, and they don't seem to know how to listen because they've even got their hands in their heads, might even be plugging their ears. So they're both naked and vulnerable, but they don't know how to turn around and connect to each other. And the snakes below just mean there's a lot of transformation, a lot of healing and wisdom that needs to be accessed in order for them to connect to each other again. Clearly, you see in the card that they could just easily turn around and embrace, but they're not. So there's fear, there's trauma, there's stubbornness, whatever. But the main thing is like the cat is a very good metaphor. Seven of Swords is usually a card of walking away, where things feel pointless. But they're sitting on the cat, and the cat's eyes are open, and it's a black cat, which is extra sensitive. So it tells me that they absolutely must stop trying to control each other in any way. And they have to earn each other's trust again, and they have to be very sensitive to each other in order to do that. So it looks to me, Gemini, that your goal this year is to do with your couple, or maybe it's finding love, maybe it's deepening the relationship you have, restoring and rebuilding something. It's about intimacy. And Pluto is in Gemini's, no, it's the 9th house. It's not the, okay, I thought it was even going to be in your house of romance, but it's not. Sorry. Okay. Calculate. All right. Cancers. What might your New Year's goal look like? You have the 5 of Wands. So you see these wands are all emerging from this volcano that's on fire. The wands are about to burn, and the huge smoke cloud, and we see Saturn in the distance. And we see the woman's face, but it's actually looks like a lion or a sphinx. And of course, the main thing in the front is the ostrich. So how profound is that? All right, 5 of Wands is always about conflicts. The ostrich is right front and center. You've got to ask yourself, are you the ostrich? Is your head in the sand about anything? This ostrich is clearly not in the sand. He's looking straight up. So it's possible that you have gotten your head out of the sand and you see things, and now you are ready to burn down, set on fire whatever isn't working, cut yourself away from dynamics or people or groups or something that's not working, which would be a continuation or a cleanup after Pluto in your relationship houses for so many years. Maybe people around you were ostriches. And then the Sphinx there is interesting too, like a Leo kind of message. Taking your strength back, taking your confidence back. You know, it's very proud, that Sphinx image there. But you know, what we want to be aware of, there is Saturn's in the background. So, you know, life lessons about feels to me sort of like life lessons about burning bridges, and when you know, based on what you see. I don't know, this ostrich is just sort of like, so eyes are open. It's like, here I am, world. I really feel more like you've taken your head out of the sand and you see things now, and there are possibly people or groups around you where there's something set on fire there in that volcano. Looks like you've learned an awful lot and you're reclaiming your confidence. That Sphinx there, the crown. So the goal then seems to be something about keep your eyes open still. You know, don't go back into any illusions or get sucked back into old relationships or dynamics or groups that you already made you already see clearly. So don't be sucked back in. Maintain your eyes open. All right, Leo, what might be your New Year's goal? We've got the 10 of Cups. So there's the moon is out. It's a beautiful night. There's fairies in the trees. There's lanterns. Somebody's either dancing or telling a story. It looks like a moonlit celebration. It looks very cozy. It's very happy. Let me just take a better look. There's people playing me. It's too small for me to show you on the computer on the card, but there's people playing music in the foreground as well. And instead of the cups being like in other decks just sort of stacked there, they're actually drinking from them. And so yeah, it looks like a nice time. Perhaps your goal this year has something to do with that feeling in this card that you're looking for. This feeling of celebration and bonding and connection, or events, or maybe it's togetherness in groups with family, or going out and doing things that feel, you know, beautiful, atmospheric. Feels like the message is about connecting to, you know, the goal is to connect back to what you really love to do, and what atmospheres and activities, and you know, the like, if you know, we can all go out and be around people any old time, but maybe you don't want to go and watch a hockey game. Maybe you don't want to go out dancing. Maybe you don't like live music, or you don't want to sit in a cafe, or you don't want to join a cycling group, but somebody does. You know, it's sort of like, identify what environments and atmospheres make you feel wonderful, so that you have these wonderful connections, heartwarming connections, and regularity with that. Yeah, it's very, very heart-centered for you this year. Restoring something you need, so you bond socially. All right, Virgos. You have the King of Wands. Okay. Not a very Virgo card, but interesting. So the King of Wands here is, looks like he's got, well, he has a staff that is a moon. His helmet is a horse. So, and he's got two horses there. Extremely intuitive and social and gregarious, although he's sort of in these bluish colors, you know, it's this woman in front of him and the moon that are all lit up with colors. Interesting. Yeah. So I would say this is really favoring, even though it's King of Wands, it's favoring the feminine side. So for men, maybe that means being extra supportive of the women around you, and that's how you can be a strength. Being content to be strong behind the scenes, a strong support system for others. Another thing is, if it's just individual, is because the King of Wands is usually about, oh, excuse me, having a very strong will, strong desires, and action. And this guy doesn't look terribly strong-willed or active. However, the horses and the horse as a helmet, and the moon means he is guided by his emotions and his gut feelings and what he knows on some level without saying. It's less masculine energy for a King of Wands. It's interesting. So Virgo, I would say, like, perhaps your overall goal this year could be to trust yourself more and not need to say it or try so hard to make things happen. Just sort of slip back and know. Interesting message. All right, I am cold in here now. Anyway, we're almost done. Okay, Libras. Libra, you've got the Three of Pentacles, so this is a very strong message. Your goal is work-related, job. Work, paid work, good paying work, good salary, full-time, insurance benefits, you name it. You need it. Now there's a giant snake that has the tip of a paintbrush. And again, we see coins with a rabbit, so lots of networking, being social. Fox, being quick, being thrifty, maybe a bit tricky, tricksterish. A fish, definitely prosperity based. And then we have this, I don't know if that's a snake or a tail of something else. It's not clear, but it is painting the pyramids. So for you, the goal is definitely around being productive. If you're working, then I think you're going to be very busy. Otherwise, it's likely a message to, consolidate and take care of your finances. But it feels overall very good. So your goal is definitely work related, being, upgrading your work situation. Okay, Scorpio. So you have the 5 of Cups. So you can see the woman sitting there looking sort of lost in her thoughts. The cups have actually all of these eyes around, and they look like they're sort of sad. There's teardrops coming from a lot of them. So she's definitely mulling over a relationship or the past. There's a lot of grief in this card. 5 of Cups is usually disappointment. So whatever you find you are disappointed about needs, and it's hard to admit that what you're disappointed at, right? Like, we don't want to say, oh, I'm let down by whatever X, Y, or Z thing that you thought was secure or good about your life or a person or whatever it is. But admitting your disappointment on something is going to allow you to address it and make changes. So yeah, your goal is, doesn't feel like much of a goal, does it? When you say, I'm going to face my disappointments, doesn't feel like much of a New Year's goal, but I believe that's what it's going to be. Once you, or maybe even as you're listening to this, exactly what that's referring to. You'll be making some sort of big change in an area of your life with a person, a job, whatever, and based on something where you're very disappointed in the way it turned out. Okay, Sagittarius. What is your message for New Year? Your goal? Queen of Pentacles. All right. So she's cool. She's got like lots of animals around her. She's got her antlers, her horns. She's got like a scarab floating around. She's got a giraffe. She's got a lion down below. Is that it? Yeah, some sort of, well, but it's a lion, but anyway. Oh, there's a bunch of animals here. She looks quite content. She's very down to earth. She's usually, she's good in her skin. She's secure financially. So the main feeling I'm getting from this for you, Sag, you could look up any one of these animals if you're curious for totems, like the giraffe totem. That will obviously there'd be something about, seeing above everything, seeing the big picture because it's so tall and it can overlook. But this little scarab floating beside her head, it's almost like, is he trying to tell her something? Are there messages for you? And also with the lion or whatever in front and the shield, there's a lot of, you've got protection. There's people around in front of you and behind you. There's people that have your back. And now that your main job is to like, to listen to whatever the scarab wants to tell you. So maybe there's someone around that you can think of that represents that. And maybe there's somebody that's been trying to get through to you and tell you something that would help you. That could be anybody from a boss, an advisor, your parents, your sister, you know, anybody around you who's been trying to talk to you and get through to you. Maybe you've been sort of busy and not listening. It could also be your own inner voice and you're just not listening. So it's really like you seem like you're doing fine, but there's a message of listening to someone or something around you that wants to get through to you about what's next on your path. Capricorns, what is your New Year's goal? And you have the Two of Cups. Okay. So the Two of Cups is classically the romance card, but this doesn't give me that romantic a feeling when I look at them. She's all in blue, like a blue mermaid, which makes her look sort of cold or distant. He's all greenish, yellowish with his, and yeah, the yin yang is like not complete. There's no dots, and it's like yellow and black, which is like earth and water, which in the Chinese system, which doesn't really go together that great. Like they sort of cancel each other out a bit. They're not. And then you've got the two glasses or cups with hearts in them, which are red and yellow, but their colors don't match, do they? So unfortunately, Capricorn, you might be really looking heavily at an intimate relationship this year. If you're single and looking, you really have to know yourself better and better who you're compatible with, because these two do not look compatible. And if you're in a couple now, you might be heavily reviewing your compatibility. Now, they might be, but they might need a lot of work to sustain it or to change or to make it better. Otherwise, I'd say you're heavily reviewing your relationships this year. All right, Aquarius, what is your New Year's message or goal? And you've got the Strength card. That's nice. Yeah, she's super confident. Look at her leg all stretched out on the ground, so long, holding a giant flame. The lion's tail is like, looks like it's 20 feet long. There's little rabbits watching at the bottom, and like a moon almost, watching what she's going to do next. She's holding the lion's butt, but there's a sun on his butt. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, he's not a very fierce looking lion. She's definitely riding him like for fun, like a companion. Oh, it's not even his tail, it's a snake. Okay. That is not a tail, that is a snake behind him, or his tail entwines with a snake. Snake and a rabbit. Interesting. So mm, hmm. It looks like a lot of changes in your self-expression this year. And it looks honestly like you're torn between, you know, the rabbit likes to be social and easy and get along with everybody and say yes, and they hate conflict, and they're a little more, they're lovely and they're sweet, but they're a little more shallow. And then the snake is like, you know, solitary and wise and like a bit fierce. And we're going into the year of the snake this year, 2025. The lion looks sort of like, huh? You know, and then she's just sitting there looking all sexy with all of her, her flames and her outfits, like a carnival or something. So there's so many levels of different expression in this one card. It's possible that you're trying to sort of consolidate all these different sides of yourself, or you're trying to take a new direction as to like, you know, what is the real me? Where am I the strongest, basically? Where do I shine? And what aspect of myself do I shine the most? So that's like an identity question this year for you, which makes sense with Pluto starting its journey in your sign. Identity examination, experimentation. It's not a bad thing. It's just you might not know for a while. And finally, Pisces, what is your New Year's message? And you have the Six of Pentacles. That's nice. That is a bull lifting weights, but the weights are coins, and the coins have, oh wow, even the coins look like there's an eye staring at us on the card, like a face as a floor, standing in like the bull's ring, like where his feet are also looks like the ring, like a nose. What an interesting card. Yeah, there's an eye on the coin, there's a woman, and there's a moon. And the sun and the Taurus lifting weights. Well, usually Six of Pentacles is like a success card with money. The bull, you know, when it's a Taurus card, you got to think, again, messages like come back to earth, out of your head and into the earth, clean up your finances, get extra work if you need it, go to the gym. Look, he's lifting weights. What a big message for like, this is the main message is ultimately build your self-worth, which means your finances, your body. It's on the physical plane when it's Taurus and Pentacles. It's not about more meditating and more workshops, and it's like get your butt to the gym. Don't daydream. Do something concrete. Lots of decisions to be made. Rational, concrete, real world decisions, not ideas. Tough for Pisces, but that would make such a difference in your life. All right, folks. So thank you for bearing with me that the video was sort of weird. It's currently 4:25 as I'm ending this video. I'm not sure whether it'll be posted by the time the new moon actually happens, but it will be up. You're watching it now. So if you need to reach me for any reason, and if you want to sign up for my newsletter, I've got a whole bunch of new things starting, new courses for the winter, and very excited. So without further ado, I wish you a happy new year. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2025.